we're going to tackle the 8 dynamics of Scientology. So the third dynamic is group survival. And their survival is to keep growing, but it's not happening because they're not having more kids because, you know, people don't want to get in. Sea Org members are not allowed to have kids. So there's no new kids coming into the Sea Org. But the public are allowed to have kids. But you know, a lot of the kids are now on the internet, they see what's happening, and they're not getting into Scientology.
Correct.
Because of videos like yours and all of that. That
is correct. However, their #1 line for new recruitment these days seems to be second gen, or third or fourth gen Scientologists. So some of those kids are getting sucked up into it still.
Yes, that's why I said some kids.
Yeah, it's not totally the case right now yet that all the kids are fleeing the ship, right? A lot of them are on board, like I was. They're raised with it. They're around it all the time. They know a bunch of Scientologists, so it's totally normalized for them. And then somebody sits them down and actually does the talk and recruits them, you know, hardcore to join staff or join the Sea Org, and they do, and that still happens all the time in that world.
Just watching the aftermath and listening to second and third gen talking about how they were recruited, to me it's heartbreaking. It's like you can't leave this room until you sign this billion-year contract. Yeah. And anybody would say, but hang on, that's kidnapping. Or it's being held about, you know, without my consent. I'm not too sure. There's a word for it.
Imprisonment.
False imprisonment. That's it. That's it. I'm so overwhelmed by the entire thought of Scientology and what kind of group it is. The group itself. And to go for me to think about their survival, they're missing the mark completely. They, you know, the way to get people in, they're missing the mark completely.
Yes, they are.
I mean, if you look at the Catholic Church and the controversy they have been in with their bishops and altar boys and their priests and such. You don't see the Catholic Church trying to sue every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you know, and people are still joining the Catholic Church.
I mean, it is a dwindling membership situation there, as I understand it. But yeah, it's certainly not as toxic in the public eye as Scientology is. Yes. That's for sure.
But even if the numbers are so low,
Catholic Church is not in good light right now.
No, but they've still got more joining yearly than Scientology does.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And by percentages too, not just numbers, because the Catholic Church is orders of magnitude larger than Scientology. But percentages wise, you're absolutely right, I'm sure.
Yes. So they're missing, for their own survival, they're missing the mark completely by trying to mark everyone as, you know, like yourself, you have your own, you know, who is Chris Shelton. You have your own 300 websites about who you apparently are, how much of a bad person you are.
Right.
Whatever you've done according to them and what apparently was in your auditing files, you know, and they're the ones going after everyone that says one little bad word about them.
That's right.
if I can quickly just digress quickly, myself and another creator, Conspiracy Cats or Baldy Cats, on Baldy Cats channel, it's the same person. We did a video, a 2-part video on Scientology, and the comments on these videos, on mine and his included, were, it was either great knowing you, or just watch out for fair game, or they're now going to stalk you. And those were the comments by people in our comments section of both our videos.
Mm-hmm.
And my response was, I'm a small channel. They have bigger fish to fry than me.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I know I'm going off on a tangent and getting off the whole group survival, but because of what they do to people that talk bad about their so-called religion, that is just causing problems for them on do I really want to get into a church that attacks everyone? You know, do I want to get into a group that attacks everyone? Because if I get in and I don't like it and I say something bad, they're going to attack me. I don't want to get into that. So they're hindering their own survival.
That's exactly right. On an individual level, that's exactly what they're doing. Unfortunately, and this is the work that we're doing, you know, trying to educate the public out there, because most people don't know about this, or they don't think too far into the future as far as those kind of consequences, right? I mean, we see this over and over again, right? People are really bad at thinking through the consequences of things. And so they get suckered into this stuff thinking there'll be an exception, or just completely unaware of the controversy in the first place.
Yeah.
That's why continually talking about this, putting it out there, reminding people, that's the mission, because it's a constant refrain. You got to constantly put it out there that these groups are out there, and they prey on people on purpose. That is their survival. That is how they get along in the world, is they prey on people, and they're not good. You know, they're not constructive or helpful.
And that is my goal for the show.
Yeah.
Is to educate people and educate myself as well, because as much as I think I know, I have no idea. I'm learning so much just even from listening to a podcast. I learn so much whenever you put out a new video. You know, so I learn a lot from Erin. I learn a lot from Karen. I just even learn a lot from the Aftermath group on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's just, sometimes there's funny things out on that group, and sometimes there's serious stuff. And I just want to absorb as much as I can. So right. When someone comes to me and says, look, I'm looking into Scientology, I'm like, whoa, let me sit you down and just tell you a few small things.
Yeah, exactly.
And then make up your mind.
Exactly.
You know, like I said, my goal is if I can save one person from getting into Scientology and ruining their entire life, I'm a happy woman. You know, if that's what they want to do, and if they carry on afterwards, then that's their own prerogative, and I've done what I felt I could do. Isn't anybody from the FBI watching these episodes? Isn't anybody from the CIA watching any of these episodes? From any police, any county police? Is no one of authority watching these episodes in any country? In any country, watching and see what's happening, even in my own country. Scientology is not a big threat in this country as it is in the US, as it is for Clearwater. I mean, Scientology, I know there's a church just up, you know, like 10 minutes from me. They're not a big threat that I know of to my town in South Africa. They're not a big threat in majority of the countries. I know in Australia they were, because they've just had a knock-on where there was a murder or a death. Sorry, not a murder, a death that happened. So there was a big controversy happening there. That was apparently leaked to Leah Remini's show for some reason, but that's Scientology trying to find any reason for whatever happens. Whatever happens in their church is Leah Remini's fault.
Right.
But it's not a big problem here as it is in the US. you know, and I know that in some town or some cities it's not a big threat as it is in Clearwater. And, you know, but it's still a big threat, regardless of how quiet they are in the town. It's still a big threat.
Well, it can be. It certainly can be. And a friend of mine who's actually running for city council this year, or will be, for Clearwater, Aaron Smith-Levin, has been trying to, you know, not downplay, but give the truth about Scientology's actual power and threat in Clearwater, and how actually negligible it can be or is when the rubber meets the road. But they have a reputation, and they have all these decades of reputation of stalking and harassment and following you and making your life awful. And don't get me wrong, if they target you as an individual, they do have the ability to make your life really rough. They do. They do have the money and time and resources to do that.
Yes.
What they lack is competency and purpose and direction. You know, they just, it's all over. They're all over the place because David Miscavige is all over the place because he's nuts. And he's the guy who runs the whole show. So, I mean, if we're really going to talk turkey about it, then it's really not this looming threat, Scientology. It's just way too tiny for that, you know. But it is a great microcosm to look at the bigger picture problems of much larger groups that pose a significant threat, both religious and non-religious. So I'm not trying to defang Scientology at all. I'm just trying to put it in proper perspective.
Yes.
You know, it's a pipsqueak little group, and it is a money-making scam, and all they're interested in is taking money from you. You know, and they use these writings and methods from Hubbard to do that. And these are psychologically damaging things, you know, and that's basically how that works.